casinos are not necessarily in good shape, despite some of the optimism that's being presented in the media about a hopeful recovery. As you can see here, Planet Hollywood sale rumors swirling. So there's a pretty good chance that this hotel may be sold. Now, as you know, this hotel was acquired by Caesars about 10 or 11 years ago. It was formerly the Aladdin, and it's well known for the large Miracle Mile shops. You know, I've been there on a date or two in that kind of place, and it used to have a really nice buffet, but they shrunk the size. It's still, you know, a reasonably priced, lots to do, good, affordable shows. One I went was like $15 and I got another one for free. I remember. I think has a lot to do with the fact that the Miracle Mile shops isn't doing so well. Las Vegas doesn't entirely represent the state in terms of the economy. So this means that the overall Nevada economy is not as bad as Las Vegas. And this is because Reno does provide some weight. Now, Reno does have a lot of gaming. Nevertheless, its economy is actually more diversified. But I'm going to be doing a video about this in the future, talking about, but will Las Vegas become a ghost town or end up like some kind of area like Detroit? And that may not be the case. The reason for this is because Reno, despite losing a lot of its casinos, and the Harrah's just recently closed, and I went there about 2 years ago. I might be going there pretty soon to go see Carson City in the legislature, that because of its diversification, nevertheless, it has been more successful. Now, over time, when many of the casinos started to close, it started to diversify. And one obvious reason, as you know, now it's not too far from the San Francisco Bay Area, so which attracted a lot of technology companies into the area. And as a result, you can see that the unemployment situation is not as bad. Now, even though diversifying is good, I do fear that they may want to bring these companies, they want to give them subsidies, they want to maybe probably create a voter base. We don't know. And not to mention the fact that the natural beauty, the Lake Tahoes, the ski resorts, certainly does play a role, and they're not so dependent on international visitors. Keep that in mind. One of the issues I have with Reno, obviously, is that I'm not too crazy about the cold. Not to mention the housing costs. It's worse in the Reno area than it is in Las Vegas, despite the fact the population is less. And you know, there is certainly far less growth that's going on. So they really need to cater to that. So the Palazzo is reopening after a 3-month shutdown. Now, we've seen this before. I've seen hotels go from a 4-day, then they go back to a full schedule, then they go back to a 4-day. So don't necessarily believe that just because things are reopening means that we're really going to go back to normal. It's hard for me to really see that. Who knows, maybe there could be another spike in the COVID cases, there could be mutations, but more and more shows are beginning to open. And what this really shows you is where are the areas of Las Vegas that are really underperforming in relation to the Caesars Palace and many of the other hotels. Palazzo really has a lot of luxury boutiques. I've talked about this before, how the Strip has been really nickel and diming a lot of people. And how as a result, in the last 10 years, many people can argue that downtown has been doing better all than the Strip, and it's been expanding. We see this with the Circa. We've seen this with, I believe, another hotel that just expanded. And the Plaza Hotel, which has been in operation for about 50 years, is considering expanding. And they're going to replace the Greyhound bus station. So what do you think about this? Do you think that we may be seeing a trend where more visitors are going to spend more time and funds in downtown, especially in these tight economic times where people just want to spend like $20 to gamble, $10 for a meal, they can park on the street for free, they don't have to be nickel and dimed, and they can still get a decent Vegas experience and certainly a lot of free shows around there without having to deal with the hustle and bustle and all of this unnecessary pressure from the Strip. The vice president made a visit to the Las Vegas area. Now, why do you think she's doing this? Do you think she's trying to do this as a way to get support, to pump campaigns? She's trying to provide false hope, or maybe she's just trying to mobilize the political machine in the state of Nevada, so then that way they can gather more energy for the 2022 elections. What do you guys think about all this? Do you really think that they're trying to do this as a way to give false hope about the bailout stimulus plans that's really going on? I've made this video about a while ago talking about the Uber attack, and believe it or not, a lot of these people travel a lot. And if you look at their records, they have gotten involved in a lot of crimes, stealing, scandals, you name it. And apparently this woman who did the pepper spraying inside that Uber driver's car, she was involved in trying to steal money at a bank using a fake ID. I guess this is just how they live their lives, you know, just stealing, lying, or posting on Instagram. And it just makes you really believe how we have raised a bunch of spoiled, I guess you can say, children, or people who have really had a lack of discipline and barely face any consequence. Now, in case if you haven't noticed, I just heard that other woman, the Persian girl, actually just got bailed out. So I guess she can just keep doing this. And she's been involved in a number of other crimes. I guess this is just really the new society, the new norm that we're going to be used to. And this new norm, who knows if it'll ever come. They say that normalcy in Las Vegas is nearing. Well, they give you all these promises, but you cannot rely on it. The question is, if people just don't have the money, not to mention the fact that people increasingly have to rely on borrowing money, these low interest rates, and if that system starts to blow up, how do you think these casinos can stay afloat? Remember, it is the government support system, the low interest rate economy, that allows people to travel and to basically spend their disposable income. Another concern I wanted to talk about is gas prices. Now, I've talked about this before about gasoline prices here in the Las Vegas Valley is heavily influenced by California refineries. And this is one of the reasons, along with the higher taxes, why we pay more. And in California, they use the winter to summer blend conversion, and that can cause our gasoline prices to rise up. Now, it's surged dramatically for a number of months. I guess you can pretty much understand why. I see a lot of it as speculative. The issue is, though, however, how can you expect people who have lost their jobs, don't have any disposable income, maxed out on their credit cards, and are about to experience higher fuel costs, able to want to come and spend their money in the Las Vegas Valley? How do you think this is going to really work? So, you really think people are just getting money out of magic? And look at this. Home prices are still rising. They're setting new records. I'll do a video about this very soon. Do you think when folks have to spend increasing number of their housing costs, well, some people say the rates are lower, which can help. Do you really think this is going to encourage our economy to go back? And what happens when the rates go up? What do you think? How do you think that this economy is going to function? Don't you guys remember what happened about 12 years ago? People are definitely getting tired of nickel and diming, and some people believe that it's an opportunity to probably take this to court, stating that it's very misleading. But again, do you think that with this level of economic activity, do you really believe that people are going to want to spend their money at their hotels? And the question is, if resort fees are such an issue, why can't consumers just be smart enough not to go visit their properties? As a matter of fact, there's still Airbnb. As you know, the plan to rename the airport looks like it's not coming as cost effective as it was supposed to be. just like a lot of their plans, it ends up costing more. And they'll say, yeah, it's private donations, but we'll see how that will end up, or even if it will actually happen. I want to go back to this woman who had that incident with the Asian Uber driver in San Francisco. As you know, and I've mentioned before, she is Persian. So they're trying to make sure that this is all white people, and I am Persian too. But it really just shows how lack of class, lack of discipline and respect young women have become. And it's quite shocking for Persian women, especially, that they typically are more disciplined. They typically have more morals than many other different types of groups. And of course, this woman has made some trips. She's an Instagram model to Las Vegas. And let's see how she behaves. Let's just see what kinds of people that are really visiting the area.
I have a bitch fucked up. Y'all want to let me use y'all bathroom? My boyfriend taught me. He taught me, don't let nobody play with you. Smack the fuck out them.
Okay, so basically, she is urinating in the property of Circa, the property that just recently opened in downtown. And according to some reports, she's actually an escort. So this explains everything. My question is, what's going to happen to her in 10 years when she loses her looks? You pretty much get the idea. This is her record, her pastime, who she really is. You can see that she lives in LA. She lives in various parts of California. She travels a lot. She's been arrested many, many times. And she claims, okay, she's planning to sue Uber. And she made her account private. So what do you think about all this? And she's acting like she's one of these like young black gangster type women. It's really insane how many other people types have really adopted this culture. Now, on to other issues. We've seen this border surge, and I think I've told you this before, that a lot of things they do wrong usually backfire. So they're allowing open borders in one way or another. I guess you can understand why they're doing it. At the same time, they want to promote amnesty. This is all backfiring. It's like, well, why should we provide amnesty when this thing is going to go out of control? See how this whole thing is eating itself? And I really think the more crazy things will get, the more things will backfire. So just bring it on. And a lot of this propaganda has been going on for decades because of the media. And it seems that viewership is tanking. I mean, personally, I think CNN should have been done about 10, 11 years ago about their horrible things that they were doing about 10 to 25 years ago. They're reporting about the war, the banker bailouts, etc. See that since we have a different change in power, assumably, that people are walking away. And it's also happening to Fox and MSNBC. I think a lot of Fox people are moving towards One America News, Newsmax, and other YouTube channels. I think MSNBC is getting a lot of their viewers going to Jimmy Dore, Chris Hedges, a lot of these other folks. And you can just see what this whole anti-Trump was really about. It was just to promote someone who was practically pro-Wall Street, military-industrial complex, and globalist. Well, I guess more people are starting to figure things out. The stock market went up, and it's projected to go up because of the Federal Reserve. So yeah, we're not going to have higher interest rates. Well, if the economy was so really good, don't you think we could use higher interest rates to kind of handle the inflation situation a little better so we can get more interest? The answer is no, because they know that low interest rates is providing the drugs that they need to pump up this economy. If you think this economy is really good, do you think that they will stop providing all these stimulus packages? It's hard to say. And as you can see here, things are really starting to shake up. Mortgage rates are going up as they follow bond yields. It's really shaking up the stock market. And like I've told you before, we have to see if it takes this high of 3.46% made back in 28. So this will really reverse the trend of lower lows and lower highs. So where do you think this is all headed? I do see some kind of a retreat. lower, but it's hard for me to ever see that it will touch the 2020 lows ever again.